You may have the vision, the business plan may look solid, the website may be ready, the team may be excited, and May 2026 may already be circled on your calendar as the month where everything finally goes live. Still, before you rush into the launch just because the timing feels energetic, you need to understand what kind of month you are actually stepping into. May 2026 is not a month you should automatically fear. Still, it is also not a month you should treat casually because this is a fire-heavy month inside a fire-heavy year. When fire becomes dominant, everything moves faster, reactions become sharper, attention comes quicker, and mistakes become harder to hide. So the real question is not whether you should launch in May. The real question is whether your launch has enough clarity, structure, and timing to survive the pace of the month. Because in a fire horse year, enthusiasm alone is not a strategy. And if your launch is built only on excitement, momentum, and the hope that people will somehow understand your offer because you worked very hard on it, May can expose that weakness very quickly. First, we need to understand the landscape properly because 2026 is Binghu, the year of the Yang fire horse. And this is not just another annual energy where things slowly build in the background. This is fire sitting on fire. It is fast, visible, expressive, and intense. In practical terms, this means things move quickly, people react quickly, and the market does not give you as much time to explain yourself as it used to. That can be very good for a business that is ready, because if your message is clear, your offer is strong, and your system can handle attention, then fire can help you gain visibility faster than expected. But that same fire can also expose weak structure, vague positioning, messy delivery, poor leadership, and all the little things people like to ignore because they are too busy feeling inspired. And this is the part most entrepreneurs don't like hearing. The fire horse year doesn't magically make your launch successful. It accelerates whatever is already there. If the business is strong, it can move faster. If the business is messy, the mess becomes visible faster. So when people say 2026 rewards bold action, that is only half the truth. It rewards bold action that has structure behind it. Otherwise, it just rewards people with a very expensive lesson. Now, let's talk about May specifically, because this is where your original idea is useful but needs to be said correctly. May 2026 is the Guese or Yin Water Snake month. The snake is part of the fire season. So even though the heavenly stem is yin water, the earthly branch carries strong fire. And because this is happening inside a fire horse year, the fire influence is still very active. This creates a strange kind of pressure. On the surface, there is water, which can represent thinking, movement, communication, flow, and adaptation. Underneath, there is fire, which represents visibility, urgency, exposure, emotion, and speed. So what happens when you launch into a month like this? You can get attention, yes. You can get movement, yes. But you can also get confused if your message is not clear. Because water on top of fire can create a situation where things look active but not necessarily clear. And for a business launch, that matters. A launch does not fail just because nobody sees it. Sometimes a launch fails because people see it but don't understand it. They see your offer, but the value is unclear. They hear your message, but they don't know why it matters. They like your branding, but they don't trust the structure behind it. That is the real danger of May 2026. Not some mystical fog waiting to destroy your dream. Just the very ordinary, very painful problem of moving fast before your clarity is ready. So does this mean you should avoid launching in May 2026? No, that would be lazy advice. And frankly, if every pressured month becomes a month to avoid, then nobody would ever do anything, which seems to be the preferred strategy of people who call procrastination being careful. The correct approach is not avoidance. The correct approach is selection. This is where Zeri or date selection becomes useful, because the point is not to wait for a perfect month where nothing can go wrong, but to identify the better days within the month that supports the nature of what you want to do. A business launch is not just a random action. It is an opening. It is a public declaration. It is the moment when the market forms its first impression of your offer. You want a day that supports beginning, visibility, activation, and sustainable movement, right? This is where the 12-day officers become helpful because each day serves a different purpose. For a business opening, an established day can be useful as it supports the beginning, setup, and initiation of a new direction. But again, don't be childish about it. An established day is not a magic button. It does not save a weak offer. It does not fix bad pricing. It does not turn confused branding into instant sales. It simply gives you a more supportive timing structure for an action that must already be properly prepared. If you are seriously considering launching in May 2026, the first thing you need to do is stop asking, is May good or bad? That is the wrong question. The better question is, which part of May supports my launch activity? And is my business actually ready to be seen? For May 2026, the established days in the snake month are May 7 and May 19. These are the dates you would consider first if you intend to formally establish or initiate a business presence. But even then, you don't just grab one date and start celebrating like the universe just approved your business plan. You still need to check whether the day clashes with your personal chart, whether it supports your industry, whether the activity is suitable, and whether the timing matches what you are actually launching. Because launching a consulting practice is not the same as opening a retail shop. Launching a digital product is not the same as signing a long-term investor agreement. Launching a personal brand is not the same as incorporating a company. Different actions need different timing support. Now, if you want to keep this practical and simple, choose your launch day first. Then choose a clean launch action that marks the business going live, such as publishing the offer page, accepting the first payment, signing the first client agreement, opening the shop, making the first official sale, or announcing the business publicly. The action must be real. Not pretending, not journaling, not visualizing until your calendar feels spiritual. A real launch needs a real transaction, a real offer, and a real commitment. That is the part people keep avoiding because apparently asking the market to pay you is less romantic than lighting a candle. Now let's talk about the launch hour because your original draft suggested using snake hour or horse hour. And that can make sense if your intention is visibility, action, and momentum, since those hours carry more fire quality. Snake hour is roughly 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and horse hour is roughly 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Depending on local solar time and the proper technical adjustment, which is another small detail people skip because accuracy is inconvenient. But again, use the hour intelligently. If your launch requires people to buy online, you also need to consider audience behavior, platform timing, payment readiness, and whether your team is available to respond. There is no point choosing a powerful hour if your checkout link is broken, your team is asleep, and your announcement goes out when your market is busy pretending to work. So yes, timing matters, but execution still matters. Date selection supports action. It does not replace competence. Now, your idea about the first official transaction is actually useful, but I would frame it in a more grounded way. When a business opens, the first transaction matters symbolically because it sets the tone of what the business is here to do. So if you are launching in May 2026, make the first transaction clean, intentional, and supportive. That could mean inviting a mentor, a loyal supporter, a serious client, or someone who genuinely respects your work to become the first paying customer. Not because they magically bless your business, but because you want the first exchange to reflect the kind of relationship you want your business to keep attracting. Clear value, clean payment, mutual respect, no discount drama, no begging energy, no support me because I'm nervous nonsense. The first sale should remind you that your business exists to create value, not to seek validation. That is a much healthier way to use the ritual. Now, Let's clean up the feng shui part because this is another area where people love to sound precise after reading half a paragraph somewhere. For 2026, it is commonly taught that the three killings are in the north, and the practical instruction is simple. Don't disturb the north with major renovation, hacking, digging, or aggressive activation. Especially if you are launching from a home office or business premises, you do not want to create unnecessary disturbance in an afflicted sector while trying to begin something important. But this does not mean your business will fail because your desk is near the north wall. It means don't aggressively disturb the sector. Again, practical, not paranoid. Feng Shui should make you more aware, not more ridiculous. Now, all of this gives you a strong general framework, but in Bazi, the final layer always comes back to your own chart. Because May 2026 does not affect everyone the same way. If your chart already has strong fire, May intensify your visibility, productivity, and pressure. If your chart has a red, the horse year may create more movement or clash-related change depending on where the red sits. If your chart has a pig, the snake month may bring movement because the snake clashes with the pig. If your chart has a tiger or dog, the horse year may connect into a fire structure and create more activation, momentum, or visibility. But where these animals sit matters. Year pillar affects network, industry, and market-facing matters. The month pillar affects career, business, and work terrain. Day pillar affects personal life, spouse, home, and personal wealth. The hour pillar affects ideas, investments, aspirations, and future projects. So if someone tells you you are born in the red year, therefore don't launch, that is too shallow. Your birth year is only one layer. A proper reading looks at the full chart because the same horse energy can affect one person's market, another's career, another's relationship, and another's investment decisions. That is why serious Bazi work does not rely on one animal sign and call it destiny. That's not mastery. That's zodiac karaoke. If you're planning to launch in 2026, especially around May, don't just ask whether the month is lucky. Ask whether your message is clear, whether your offer is ready, whether your timing supports the action, and whether your personal chart can carry the move. I've prepared a 2026 business launch guide to help you think this through, including a basic launch checklist, the difference between a public launch and a transaction launch, and the key timing questions to ask before choosing a date. Use it as a starting point, not as a substitute for thinking. So let's bring this together properly. May 2026 is not a month to fear, nor is it a month to blindly charge into. It is a fire season month inside the fire horse year, with Gui water sitting on top of snake fire, which means there is movement, visibility, urgency, and potential confusion if your launch is not clean. If your business is ready, this month can support momentum. If your business is messy, this month can quickly expose it. That is the real teaching. Not fear, not superstition, not don't launch or you fail, just timing, structure, and preparation. So before you launch in May 2026, tighten the offer, clarify the message, choose the day properly, execute the first transaction cleanly, and make sure your structure can handle the attention you are asking for. Because in a fire horse year, visibility is not the prize. Visibility is the test. And if you are not ready to be seen clearly, then the problem is not the month. The problem is that your business was not ready for the light.